Hey, what's up, guys? Koolaid here. Welcome to another episode of Killing Time with Koolaid. Got a few things I want to talk about today, as well as reach into the mailbag, of course, and try to pull out some good questions at the end. First of all, as the title implies, this is going to be footage from Miller server, the European server. The reason being, a lot of people, back when I did my, server doesn't matter when it comes to oblivious people video, a lot of people told me that European servers are better or shouldn't say are better, but have more skilled players, and a lot of the stuff that you saw in those other videos wouldn't happen on European servers, and Miller was the one that specifically came up more often than any other one. So I decided to make a character on Miller just to try and test it out. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm not going to even be playing there enough to really get a complete sense of whether or not Miller is harder or whether or not Miller is the same as every other server. So I'm not trying to prove anything. I pretty much just thought, it might be a good idea to go and play on some other servers from time to time and, maybe just test the waters a little bit. Now, this character that you're seeing is completely uncerted, of course. I have been logging in, not every day, because some days I just don't log into Planetside at all, but I have been logging in as much as possible to collect my passive cert gains for my membership bonus. So even though I haven't been playing a ton on Miller, I still have been adding up some certs and certing out my infiltrator. I am going to just stick to infiltrator on Miller for now until I get that certed out. Just for those reasons I just mentioned, that I'm not going to be gaining that many certs over there. So I want to focus really just on one class for now, and maybe eventually I'll have enough to start dispersing them out and being able to play other classes on Miller. But for now, you're going to see mostly infiltrator gameplay, and the gameplay isn't going to be probably the most exciting stuff you've ever seen from me because of my little bit of lack of time on that server, but it should be some pretty decent stuff here that you're going to be watching. So I'm not going to come to any conclusions. So far, I have not noticed any difference whether I'm playing on Miller, Watterson, Matherson, or whatever server I'm playing on. But it'll still be a good idea just to play on here from time to time, and I think some of you Euro players will appreciate that a little bit. Something else I want to mention briefly is Twitter. Now, I leave the link to my Twitter account in every description of every video that I make, and I highly recommend you guys that don't have a Twitter account to sign up, not just to follow me. I really don't post a whole lot on Twitter right now, mainly because I only have not even 200 followers, but I would recommend that you guys sign up on Twitter to follow other YouTubers for Planetside and developers. You guys can follow guys like Smedley and Higby and Maggie and all them people that will give you really quick updates on what's actually happening in Planetside 2, and it will help you stay current, probably more so than any other source. They pretty much, if there's a development in Planetside 2, it pretty much gets tweeted right away before it goes anywhere else. So I highly recommend you guys sign up on Twitter. If you want to follow me, go ahead. I would like to start posting more on Twitter. I always post my videos, which doesn't really matter anyway, because most of you guys either get an email or just see that they pop up on YouTube regardless, so that doesn't really help a whole lot. But I would like to start posting more thoughts I'm having on certain things, ideas maybe I'm getting for certain videos on there, and getting quick feedback from you guys. So I do highly recommend signing up on Twitter. Speaking of thoughts on new videos, I hope you guys enjoyed the Live to 5. I am going to be making some changes. You guys had some really good suggestions, and I will talk more about changes that I have planned in the next episode of Live to 5. I'll try to get one of those out once a week at least for you guys. The plan is kind of to try to get one of those out once a week and one episode of Killing Time with Koolaid out once a week, and then try to sprinkle in some more guide type videos here and there. But for the time being, with Battlefield coming out, I probably won't be able to do too many of those right now. The footage is going to be a little bit the footage is going to be coming in a little bit slow for me, and I'm just overall going to be playing a lot more Battlefield for, till the honeymoon phase wears off. So I'm going to try to at least keep one live and one Killing Time with Koolaid every week for you guys. For another idea that I had for a video that I'm kind of working on right now is another submachine gun video. You guys know I did the ultimate machine gun showdown, and I had a lot of different responses for that, but the main debate that I had, the main thing that people were talking about most, was the Cyclone versus the Blitz. And those are the two submachine guns that I've used most in Planetside 2. I have a Raxium with both. I love both, but I favor the Blitz a little bit. And that was probably the biggest debate in the entire video. So I decided I might do a video just comparing those two head to head, going over every little detail, and going over more specifically why I like the Blitz and why I do think the Blitz is ultimately a better weapon. And I'm not going to really try to sway people's opinion on that, but I want to make my opinion a little bit more clear than I did in the Ultimate Submachine Gun Showdown, because I just kind of briefly went over those, not so I didn't make a hour-long video, which could have been done when talking about all the submachine guns. So look forward to that. That should be out in a couple weeks. And next, I just want to briefly talk about optimization. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what they're doing to optimize the game. There's a lot of information out about that. Basically, they're doing stuff. I mean, it makes sense what they're doing. Hopefully, and I think a lot of us are hoping the same way, the people that actually can play the game pretty well right now, we're hoping they don't end up making the game look ugly by optimizing it, which I believe they did back in beta. Back in beta, it ran even worse, and I think they just kind of lowered the graphics somehow. Don't quote me on this. I'm not 100% sure. Back when this game was in beta, I actually was not following it that closely, but hopefully they don't make the game look too ugly. At the same time, though, I'm hoping you guys that are playing on really low FPS, I'm hoping you guys get major gains out of this optimization patch. I really am. I almost feel bad for you guys that have to play this game below 30 FPS. I mean, I know at times when I've dipped down there, and there have been times, especially after some of the earlier patches that would mess with people's frame rates. It was rough. It was brutal. I would have had a hard time playing it. And they've said that the main reason people quit the game is because of performance, and that makes perfect sense. I honestly would not be playing this game if I was constantly getting under 30 FPS. As much as I love this game, it would just drive me absolutely insane. So I'm really, really, really hoping that this optimization patch works. I'm hoping it will start bringing in new players as well as retain the players that it already has. But my main question with the optimization is, why has it taken a year? Why has it taken a year to put this in? This is something that should have been done in beta, if not, or at least the first couple months of the game. This is not something that should have taken a year, and I have a feeling that the damage is already done. I have a feeling that a lot of older players that quit might not come back, and I have a feeling that just because they're optimizing it now, especially with Battlefield 4, days away, that they're not going to all of a sudden get a surge of new players. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully old players come back, and hopefully we do start getting new players. But I don't have a ton of hope. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Either way, I'm glad they're doing it. I wish they would have done it a long time ago. But, I'm not going to complain. And I don't think too many people would say that optimization of any form is a bad idea. So that's pretty much my brief thoughts on optimization. It is what it is. I'm glad it's coming, and I hope you guys that play on the lesser machines are going to get big gains out of this, because you deserve it, especially for sticking around so long playing with those bad frame rates. The last thing I want to talk about before we reach into the mailbag, and I'm just going to cover this real briefly as well, is Planetside coming to the PlayStation 4. I think this is going to be really good for Planetside. I think any exposure for Planetside is good. We're not going to be playing cross-platform if you're on PC. You're not going to be playing guys from PlayStation 4, which would have been really cool, especially, I'm guessing PlayStation 4 you can use a mouse and keyboard. I don't know for sure though. But my one major concern, and this might be completely unwarranted, is if you played Battlefield 3, it took longer for patches or game updates to come out because they had to be cleared by Microsoft or something that had to do with consoles. I don't really know the details on it, but it took longer. And even though that game was not cross-platform either, the stuff still had to be cleared on console before it would go through on the PC. and I'm hoping that is not the case on Planetside. And probably not, because it's not going to be on the Xbox One. It's going to be Sony is also the developer as well as the publisher or whatever. So I'm hoping that is not the case. I'm hoping that is a completely unwarranted worry that I'm having. But other than that, I think it's a great thing. I think it's going to help us YouTubers. I think we're going to get an influx of maybe new subscribers. I think there's going to be more YouTubers coming to, doing Planetside content because of the PlayStation 4. So overall, I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, I'm actually thinking about making some new beginners guides for new players to PlayStation 4 or Planetside 2 from the whatever I'm trying to say. You guys know what I'm trying to say. But overall, I'm looking forward to it, and that's pretty much all I had to say. I will be a little bit jealous if it runs better and looks better on the PS4 than it does on my new $2,000 machine, but hopefully that's not going to be the case. Alright, so let's reach into the mailbag. The first question is by Strand Noobs. He says, I recently bought a submachine gun, and I'm going through the process of sorting it out. I saw that you can buy a normal laser or get an advanced laser after that. Is there any reason to use a regular laser, once you have the advanced laser? The answer is absolutely not. Once you buy the advanced, you put that on and you never use the normal laser again. I'm glad you asked this, even though it's a little bit of a silly question. But I hear people ask this all the time, and there is absolutely no reason to use a normal laser once you get the advanced. I think it's just a little bit of an oversight by Sony. Next, 828 Morton wants to know, do you think the VS Zoe Max is overpowered as it is? And if so, how would you change it? And I've actually replied back to about 3 or 4 different people and probably about 10 different comments saying I just simply do not know the answer to this question. I'm not going to comment on whether or not it's overpowered until I actually play one for myself. And at this point, I do not have the weapons or the certs to put into a max, but I am actually working on that. I have a character on Matherson. My VS Infiltrator is completely sorted out now, so now my certs are going to go into a Zoe Max. I will buy the weapons. I don't even know which are the best weapons for a VS Max. I think maybe the comments, hopefully one of you guys will correct me on that. But the reason I'm actually addressing this, even though I do not know the answer, is just to let you guys know that this is something that I plan on working on and something that I plan on addressing in the future. Next, Black Power wants to know what brand coffee does your girlfriend like and what kind of food does she like. She drinks Folgers instant cheap crap coffee. I don't like coffee, so I don't really know the difference, but she drinks pretty much the cheapest stuff you can get. What kind of food does she like? Well, she likes a lot of different kind of food, but she is really addicted to Melio's subs. Most of you probably have not heard of Melio's. They're kind of a Wisconsin thing, I think. But she's a big fan of subs. Other than that, she likes a variety of food. Saul Mazabao wants to know, he says he's playing NC and he wants to know what I think the best secondary weapon is. And, it's really subjective. I think all the pistols are worthy of using for NC. It really depends on playstyle and how accurate you can be. But my favorite is the Desperado. It's what I've been using for, well, pretty much since it's come out, and I really like it. I plan on probably using that when Stalker Cloak comes out, but I want to do a more in-depth guide on pistols once that time actually comes. Next, Jesse Stanley wants to know, I was wondering if you and Rel could get together in some forgotten corner of the map and have a duel. I think it would be really fun to watch. Me and Rel are both really busy people, and we play at completely different times, I think. But if you can talk Rel into doing something like that, I am completely game. Patrick Walker wants to know what I think the best long-range bolt action is for each faction, and that's really easy question. It's the long shot for NC, Parallax for VS, and RAMS50 for TR. It's really, it's not even really a matter of opinion too much as it is just going by straight stats. They have the best bullet velocity, so I mean that's pretty much all it boils down to. Michael Ashton wants to know, do you think Planetside 2 could ever have a naval element to it? And I think back in their initial 10-year plan, Sony actually had a naval element planned into the game, and I don't know if their idea on that has changed, and I doubt it would be within the next couple of years that they would actually implement this. I have no idea, and I have no idea if it would work, how it would work. I think it would be very hard to implement in a game like this, but if they put it in and made it work, I think it would be really, really cool. I honestly don't see it ever happening, but the possibility is always there. And like I said, they had that in their 10-year plan to begin with. I don't remember exactly in detail what their idea was then, but I really don't know. I think it would be really hard to implement. And the last question for this episode, Blade Edge 93 wants to know, how do you think the optimization will affect the success of a close quarters infiltrator? And he says this basically because a lot of people right now are forced to play on lower settings where you can't see infiltrators as well, and that's something that they're constantly tweaking. Sometimes a patch will come out and lower settings can actually see infiltrators better. Then another patch will come out and then lower settings you can't hardly see infiltrators at all. If this means that it is more uniform and more people are going to see infiltrators how they're intended to be seen, I see that as a positive, even if it makes it a little tiny bit harder for me as an infiltrator. But I honestly do not think it's going to affect us very much at all. I think it's mainly going to be working more as intended, which I will say is a positive thing. I don't want to feel like I am getting a one up on somebody because I have a better machine. I really want people to play on better settings, people to play with higher FPS, and people to see Infiltrator how they're meant to be seen. I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of somebody because I'm playing an Infiltrator, and it really bothers me when people try to bring that up, which I'm sorry, I'm playing the class that I want to play. It has nothing to do with, trying to trick people or trying to take advantage of people because you're playing on a lesser machine. So that's pretty much my thoughts on it. Like I said, that's the last question for today. If you have mailbag questions, send them to me through private messages on YouTube as opposed to leaving them in the comment section. If they're in the comment section, chances are I will not get to them. But anyways, that's all I have. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.